we as human beings are our biggest problem. And the reason that I would say that is because we've been present 24/7 for our lives. Everywhere we've gone, there we were. So each time you had an issue, you were there during that issue. And we don't understand that the way that we view ourselves is the biggest issue. It's not what you did to me or what somebody else said about me or what someone else thinks about me. It's about how I view myself. And there was a book that was written some years ago by a surgeon. His name was Maxwell Malz. I believe his last name is M-A-L-Z. Maxwell, M-A-X-W-E-L-L. Maxwell Malz wrote a book called Psycho Cybernetics. Psycho meaning brains, cybernetics, the wiring, and all of that stuff. And what he was explaining in the book is how our minds are wired as individuals. The book was about self-image, which is what this video is about. It's about how to heal your self-image. One of the premises of the book that Maxwell Malz was explaining, because he was a plastic surgeon, and plastic surgeons, more than anyone, if they study enough, they can see or they understand about human psychology. And what Maxwell understood was that no matter how many surgeries, no matter how good, he explained about a patient. I believe this patient had a female. She got a nose job, and he fixed her nose, right? He quote unquote fixed her nose. But here was the issue. Even though he so-called fixed her nose and everything looked different, it had the appearance of looking different. It was noticeable. But the problem is for her, it wasn't necessarily enough. And as he did these different surgeries with women, with different people, what he understood was that no matter what happens on the physical, we see ourselves with our mind. So no matter how she looked in the mirror to herself, no matter how she looked, she was seeing herself through her mind. And this is what happens with us as individuals. This is why you notice some people that got one plastic surgery. Think about it, you see a lot of people, especially celebrities, you see different people and they get these surgeries, and what you notice is, okay, it's one surgery, then it's two, then it's three, then it's four, and then you see all these people that's got like 70 something surgeries, plastic surgeries. It's because number one, they're addicted, but number two, they continue to look for the faults in themselves. Which brings me to another point, is the comparison, which I'll explain that later. You're comparing yourself, right? So ideally, you see yourself, or fundamentally, you see yourself from your brain. And so the image that you have of yourself has been formed during your younger years. And so that programming that you have, whether from your parents, from friends, from people saying you're ugly or you don't look that good, from people saying you're dumb, you're not smart, you'll never make it. All these different things are what shaped you. And no matter what you do, it's not good enough for you because you're still seeing yourself as that individual. You're still seeing yourself as the so-called ugly duckling, if they want to use that word, or whatever it is that you still see. So a lot of your self, the ideas of yourself have come from other people. So other people have shaped you. I've said this before. The program and the things that we've received is principally due to our parents, principally due to the people around us, which is why the positive reinforcement from the time that you're young as a child is very important, because people often stay with that. So people are going to be self-conscious about their nose, or you see, I got a peanut head. People might be self-conscious about their peanut head. You know how many times somebody say, oh, this guy got a bean head, he's got a peanut head, this and that. So people are going to say things, but what you have to realize is often that people are projecting. Everybody has some type of insecurity. People are projecting, and if you're an easy target, if they see that you are easily affected, then they're going to keep going. This is what they call bullying. They're going to keep going. Not necessarily the physical bullying. Well, we can say that too, but if you stood up and fought for yourself, a bully is not going to want to fight every day. So, but if they notice that you're affected by the teasing, by all this stuff, then they're going to continue that on. So your image of how you see yourself is the most important thing. This is the reason why people are so mentally off now, because they're basically going on what society has told them. The society standard of beauty, the society standard of this particular thing. And so you have a bad concept of who you are, no matter what you've done physically. You went to the gym and that's not enough. You know, we see this sometimes. You see this with models, right? Is you're looking at them, you're saying, this woman is beautiful, she looks good. What's the problem? Why does she not want to eat? Or why is she thinking that she has to keep losing weight? Or why does she keep thinking that she's got to do this? And you're like, baby, you're naturally beautiful. What's the problem? It's the image that they have of themselves, of the pressure that's put on them by who? By those from the outside. And those from the outside are putting the pressure to them, and that does something psychologically. So this is why you see many women, they're eating and throwing up and they're doing all these different things. Yes, I understand it's part of the job, but the point that we're making here is that how you feel about yourself is going to be the major issue. Now, guys like Napoleon Hill, there's so many books on this stuff that you can read. They explain that the key to overriding this, one of the first things is, what I used to do is I used to write down all the things that I wanted, how I saw the things that I wanted for my life, and I would speak about it in the present tense. I would speak about it in the present tense. I have XXX. I'm so grateful for XXX. And so you're giving the gratitude. Now, in the sense of, maybe let's say somebody that maybe didn't like how they looked, they had surgeries or whatever. I'm beautiful, or I look good, or I feel great. See, that's the thing. It's not necessarily about what's actually there. It's about how you view what's there. Your view of it. That's the most important part. How you look at it. If you look at it a certain way, it's going to keep having the same results. So how you view it. This is why it's said to not always necessarily look at reality. Because when you look at reality, you recreate reality. So you continue to recreate. This is why people from a certain environment, it's predictable what they're going to be. If that environment is rough, if it's tough, if there's a lot of crime, you can predict because they're recreating. They're looking and they're recreating. So this is why I say you have to be a product of your mental environment. Usually the physical environment shapes the mental environment. So if you grew up with your parents telling you this and that, then that's usually your programming. Now, it takes special people to override that, and they can. You can, because you are special. Because nothing, just like a computer, you can erase all of the software, you can erase the programming from the computer, and you can start over, you can put the programming that you want. And we are high performance computers. And so you're running on faulty programming. It's what I'm saying. And so you have to do what? You have to create new programs to run on, programs that's going to suit your life, programs that will benefit you, because up until now, these other programs have ruined your self-image. And that is the most important thing, because the world will come against you. The world will come against you. People will come against you. Not everyone is going to agree with you. And it takes spunk. It takes heart. It takes a lot to fly in the face of the world, especially when you want something, when you want to be a special person. Because most people are used to walking with the crowd. So if everybody's saying something about them, it takes a lot to stay firm and believe in yourself. And you do that, number one, by affirmations. Number two, by writing down the things that you want to happen. And you just be thankful for those things. You live as if these things have already happened. I'm thankful for my beautiful family of 4. I don't know, wife, 2, 3 kids. Example, a husband and a dog, child. That's an example. Because you're living in the presence to manifest things, to create things. You have to be able to live in 2 worlds. The world in which you desire and the world in which you're in. And the world in which you are in, you have to give thanks for the things that you have. Because to have the things you want, you have to want the things you have. Of course, not negative, but negative and positive, those are all subjective. Depends on how you look at it, which is what we're saying. So how you look at something is what's going to, okay, all these people are against me. Maybe there's a little bit of truth to what they're saying. But how somebody looks, I'll put it to you like this. This is going to help you out. How someone looks is all subjective. Why? Because there are women that like tall guys. There are women that like muscular guys. There are women that like so-called chubby guys. There are women that like guys that are that weigh a lot. There are women that like guys that are slim. There are women that like guys with gray eyes. There are women that like guys with afros. There are women that like bald guys. So everything, the reason why you shouldn't be bothered about what someone thinks about you is because everything is subjective. You could go pull whatever magazine said this is the best looking guy in the world, and I promise you, all women will not agree that that's the best looking guy in the world. Number one, because you haven't seen everybody. Number two is because this is a question of taste. And so I'm simply saying that just because one person thinks something about you does not mean that that's true. What's important is that what you think about yourself, that's the most important thing, because you're going to take that with you from person to person to person. Now, if you're taking this low self-esteem, if you're taking this poor self-image with you, people will also pick up on it. You say, this guy has problems. This woman they have mental issues. They have psychological issues. They have poor self-esteem. So oftentimes you bring this stuff on you because the energy doesn't lie. You can say certain things in words, but energy doesn't lie. Energy travels ahead. So they're saying this person they have poor self-esteem. They have issues here. You can sense it. You can feel it. These are things that are just, they're on you, right? So you're often treated based upon how you are, what you give off. And what you're giving off is something that's not even true. How do we know? Because truth is permanent. What's true is that everybody's going to die. The death, that's a fact. That's universal. Doesn't matter where you're at, everybody's going to transition someday. That's the truth. But you look good, or you don't look good, or you look good, or you don't look good, or you're the best dresser, or you're the best, or this is the best car. Well, what's the criteria? What's the criteria that we're judging on? So this is what I'm saying. You can't form your self-image based upon opinions when everyone has a different opinion. Some women may say, oh, you're handsome. Or some men may say, man, she's gorgeous. She's fine. Somebody might say, she's all right. But what do they normally say? Well, they look good, but they're not my type. They're okay, but they're not my type. Not my type means that we all think differently. So you cannot form. Some people, they get fired at certain jobs and they go to another job and they shoot to the top. They perform the best. Why? Because environment, energy, alignment, all these things matter. All these things matter. I've seen players, you go to different teams and you're like, man, I can play for this coach. I can't. One coach has this guy on the bench messing with his confidence. He goes to this team. Now he's averaging 30 points a game. So you have to maintain a positive self-image. You have to remind yourself of how great you are. You have to put in the work to be ready to produce in whatever it is that you want. Whether you're concerned about your physical appearance, take care of your physical appearance. Because you want to give yourself every opportunity, because people are going to treat you what it is that you present. So this person takes care of themselves. This person, they study, so they're ready. This person showed up 20 minutes to the job, they're ready. So you have to be ready in these different areas. You have to give yourself the best chance at success. But it starts with the mental programming. It starts with what you tell yourself. You can try to change as much as you want on the outside, but the inside is what matters, as proven by Dr. Maxwell Malz. I recommend that book, Psycho Cybernetics. That's very important. Healing your self-image is almost, let's just say, the most important thing, because you're going to move around. You're going to move around, and people are only going to treat you based upon how you treat yourself. This is why you can't necessarily get attracted to, or you can't respect a person that doesn't take care of themselves. Their hair's uncombed, their face is not washed, their clothes are sloppy, maybe they're wrinkled, but you see a person next to them that's taken care of, that's groomed well, that's dressed well, that's in shape, you're going to see a difference between these people. So how you treat yourself is the most important thing. The next thing in improving your self-image, I could say the second or the last thing, comparisons. That's a problem. When you compare yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure, because we're all unique. We're all meant to be different. We all do different things. Certain people had certain environments to cultivate them to the point of who they are. Certain people had these environments. So the comparison is, it would be different if you have the same DNA, if you grew up in the same environment, same parents, same house, same everything. You were born at the same time, you got the same fingerprint, got the same footprint. Then that may be a little bit more of an accurate comparison. But even still, because spirits, souls are different, you're going to have a different expression. Even if you had the same DNA, you're going to have a different expression, because we are all different. Even if we came out identical twins, or it doesn't matter. So comparisons are a problem, because there are circumstances that surround people, and people are all born to do different things. What's my example? Doctors go to med school. Doctors read the same books. Yet, this doctor does surgery this way, this doctor does another way, this doctor does another way. They all get different results. All of them are successful, but they all get different results. Or they go about it differently. Let me say that. They all have great results. So when you're comparing, it's like, who's best? It's not really a question of who's best. It's coming back again to the preference. Because if you get the result, that's what matters. So you're comparing yourself to people that have different resources. You're comparing yourself to people that have different genetics. You're comparing yourself to people that lead different lives, that grew up in different places, that have different life purposes. And so you may feel like you're behind. It's like, behind who is the real question. If you feel like you're behind in life, the question is, behind who? Are you admitting that it's a race? Because I thought that we were supposed to be creators. We're all supposed to be creators. That's what we're here to do. Create on this earthly plane. Just like I'm creating this video sitting up in the sun burning. Right? We're all supposed to be here creating, not comparing, not competing for that which is created. If you are creative enough, I want you to understand this. If you are creative enough, there will be no competition. Creativity is the precursor to abundance. Everything that you've ever wanted, everything that you ever want to become, if you remain in a creative state and you're not looking over here and saying, what they're doing, let me see if I can do that, and looking over here. If you remain in a creative state, there will be no competition. Because for creators, competition does not exist. Because I can create something else. And if I created it, I'm the owner of that. I'm the first one. I'm the pioneer. Anybody that comes after me, now they would be trying to compete against me, but I've created it. You can't compete. I did something that I produced something that wasn't here. So creativity is where we should be, not comparisons. So you want to be creative in your mind. This is why following so much or so many people doing these kinds of things, you want to be tapped in. This is why we speak about good food. Good food is important. You want to talk about self-image? How you eat is a message to the creators, a message to people about how you feel about yourself. Now, there are caveats here. The major one is sometimes people just don't have the information. But usually we know if we're eating good or we're eating bad. Usually we know. You want to improve your self-image? How you feel about yourself? You're going to feel good as you start eating better food. You're going to sleep. Your rest is going to be more efficient. You're not going to need as much rest, depending upon your job, of course. But you want to know how you're going to change your self-image? You are how you're going to change it. It's not about anybody else. So that's going to mean leaving victim mentality and changing over to victor mentality. I don't care about the sweat. Pardon the sweat, but it's just a part of it. We're 90 degrees here in the Dominican Republic at 8 a.m. You. No victim mentality. And I know people often don't want to hear this, but it's victor mentality, not victim mentality. Everything that we're doing, we are participants. So you have to look at it like that. We are participants in all that we do, especially if we make the free choice. We make the choices, we're definitely participating in it. There are some things that happen that are beyond our control. But for the most part, people make decisions. You make decisions on where you're going today. Whether it's your job, whether you feel obligated to it, you still made the decision. You make a decision on who you're going to be with in a relationship. We're all participants. If the relationship doesn't work out, you're not a victim. We're all participants. We want to be creative. We want to take our lives into our hands. But more importantly, we want to have a different mental image of ourselves. And if you have to think positively. It doesn't mean that there won't be negative things or so-called negative things happening. But again, it depends on how you look at it. Today, I'm going to honestly say that there are many people that are soft. And they're soft because it's hard for them to get better because they take criticism as hating. Is that you're hating on them. If you're a person that can take criticism and use it for your betterment, you're going to continue to improve. And if you just improve step by step every day, where would you be in a month? If you improve step by step every day, where would you be in 3 months? Where would you be in 6 months? See, as you get better, you start to get more confident. As you get more confident, that positive self-image that starts to become stronger. The self-image starts to change. This is why we do refer people to start training, because that is something when you start to see your body change, but more importantly, it's who you're becoming in the process. Who you're becoming is the most important thing. It's like, I'm getting up every day at 4:30. I know most of the world is not getting up at 4:30. That's going to do something to your brain here. I'm telling myself every day, I'm the greatest at what I do. I'm writing down my 5 most important goals, and I'm speaking as present. Because when you write, what you're doing is you're reassuring. And then you're reading it every day, and the body is doing what? It's putting it into the programming. So you write and you put it out there in the universe. Obviously you think it, you put it out there in the universe, and then you're reading it. So you're reassuring it every day. Just like that song used to play on the radio every day, and now 20 years later, you can remember that song. You know the lyrics to that song like nobody's business. you know the lyrics to it. Why? Because of the programming. And so you should know the lyrics to the life that you want. Just like you remember that, you're going to remember this. And what will happen is it'll become second nature. So now you won't have to say, I'm grateful for my wife and children. You can still say that, or I'm grateful for my husband, or I'm grateful for my family, or I'm grateful for this job. You have the job, or you have the business. You have the family. Now you're living it. You're so used to saying it, now you're living it, and it's here now. Because you've got to be able to live in those two worlds. To create this world, you've got to be able to first live in it. But you must also be thankful for the things that you can be thankful for in this world. Because that gratitude is energy that's creating the vibration that you want to be on. And so eventually you have to match the vibration. You have to match the vibration. The Maxwell Malz book is very important. You can even go and read, most people are going to tell you the Napoleon Hill book. I think that's a good one. Outwitting the Devil is a good one by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. Wallace Wattles, The Science of Being Rich. And listen, when we saying rich, this is important because this all has to do with psychology. This all has to do with the mind. When we're saying rich, we're talking abundant. Most people think money because they think that money is going to solve their issues. But money only solves money issues. After that, you're left with everything else. Money can't solve the issue if your pancreas is messed up. Lifestyle has to do that. If your colon is backed up, you're constipated, if you got polyps, lifestyle has to do that. No matter how much money you got. So when we speak about riches, we're talking about riches, things that you cannot buy at the store on aisle 6. When I speak about riches, this is what I'm talking about. Rich in health, rich in family and friends, rich in spirit. You're pushing mankind ahead. Your spirit is rich. You impacted everyone around you. You made a decision to impact everyone around you. If you have a terrible or a negative self-image, it's going to be difficult to do that. You're here to impact. You're here to show the Creator's essence in you. And as far as I can see, most of us are underachieving. You're not supposed to walk around not confident. So now we've got to undo a lot. This is why they say the children are the future. The children are the most important. Why? Because they don't have as much programming. So whatever you put into them, they're open. They're like a blank disc. So whatever you put on, they're going to run on that programming, which is why we have to put the best on it so that we don't have to be 25 years old trying to deprogram like we're doing, 20 years old. But it still can be done because we have a poor mental self-image of ourselves because of some things that some people have said when we were 12 years old or 14 or 10 or 7. All this can be changed. Takes a little work, takes consistency, but all of it can be changed. You don't have to compete against anybody because what's for you is for you. You just have to be in the creative space because that's where abundance is going to come in. You got to create. And you have to understand that what's most important is what you think about yourself. Because when you're by yourself, that's really who you are. The things that you do by yourself, for the most part, is truly who you are. Are you sneaking and doing foul things? Or are you doing great things? Self-image is important.